Most people will never understand why a single hour of audio is worth more than 6 months of traditional content creation. They'll spend years grinding out blog posts, social media captions, and marketing emails one piece at a time, while a small group of wealthy entrepreneurs discovered something that changes everything. They found the arbitrage. They found the system that turns 1 hour of speaking into 30 different pieces of content, distributed across every platform where attention lives, and they're using it to build empires while everyone else is still stuck in the content creation hamster wheel. Welcome to Premium Wealth Insights. I'm William Vanderbilt, and over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how the wealthy are solving the time abundance problem, how they're achieving omnipresence without becoming full-time content managers, and most importantly, how you can either implement this system yourself or build a 6-figure business selling it to people who desperately need it. This isn't theory. This is a market that reached over $2 billion in 2023 and is projected to hit $80 billion by 2030. This is Gary Vaynerchuk turning one keynote into 35 million views. This is Alex Hormozi generating $80 million in book sales in 24 hours because he spent 5 years distributing the same ideas in multiple formats. This is the content-to-capital conversion system the ultra-wealthy use to stay visible, stay relevant, and stay profitable. And here's what makes this so powerful. The people who need this most are the ones who can pay the most. High-net-worth entrepreneurs, consultants charging $5,000 to $20,000 per project, coaches with premium programs, B2B founders building authority. They generate incredible value through their voice and expertise, but they cannot afford to let that content sit as a single artifact. They need distribution infrastructure. They need someone to take their 1 hour of speaking and turn it into the 30 pieces that make them omnipresent. Right now, as I'm speaking, there are service providers charging anywhere from $150 to $500 per episode to deliver exactly this transformation. And their margins, 60 to 75%. Because the technology has evolved to the point where artificial intelligence does 90% of the heavy lifting. Transcription costs 0.6 of a cent per minute. Clip generation tools like Opus Clips and Recast automate the detection of viral moments. Large language models convert transcripts into blog posts and email sequences for less than a penny per request. The service provider's actual job is to curate, to maintain brand voice consistency, and to deliver outcomes that matter. And the wealthy will pay handsomely for that. Let me tell you about a moment that crystallizes why this market exists. Tony Robbins did a podcast interview with Marie Forleo back in 2014. That single interview generated 1.3 million views on YouTube. Incredible reach. But here's what didn't happen. Almost no repurposing. No one carved that interview into 50 short-form clips for Instagram and TikTok. No one turned it into 10 tweet threads. No one extracted the key insights into carousel posts for LinkedIn. No one created an email sequence that could nurture leads for months. The lost opportunity cost was massive. For someone like Robbins, with a net worth exceeding $500 million, that untapped content represented millions in lost downstream monetization. Course sales that never happened. Coaching clients who never discovered him through the right format. Speaking fees from organizations that never saw his best 30-second moment. This is the structural problem. Content creators have abundance in raw material, but scarcity in distribution infrastructure. And that creates the wedge. That creates the business opportunity. Now let me show you exactly how the system works, starting with the person who turned this into an art form. Gary Vaynerchuk operates what I call the documented omnipresence model. He doesn't create content in the traditional sense. He doesn't sit down and write scripts or plan elaborate productions. He documents his life, and his team atomizes those moments into hundreds of pieces monthly. His strategy is simple. One 10-minute video podcast becomes 20 to 30 vertical clips of 15 to 90 seconds each, optimized for platform-specific algorithms. What makes this scalable is that his model doesn't require human creativity at each step. It requires decision-making about which moments matter, then using automation to produce variations. According to documented breakdowns of his workflow, he invests approximately 1 hour of raw recording and 2 hours of editing weekly to produce this volume. Think DMG. His team uses tools like Otter.ai for transcription, CapCut for video editing, and Canva for graphics. The time investment compresses dramatically when the workflow is templated. The business outcome. His personal brand reaches millions. His podcast maintains consistent visibility, and the downstream monetization, courses, consulting, speaking fees, compounds because of that omnipresence. He's not selling the podcast. He's using the podcast as the raw material for the attention infrastructure that makes everything else work. In his own presentations, Vaynerchuk has shown how his team took one of his keynotes, repurposed it into more than 30 pieces of content, and generated over 35 million total views. Gary Vaynerchuk Medium. That's not 35 million views on the keynote itself. That's 35 million cumulative views across all the derivatives, each piece reaching a different audience segment, each piece reinforcing the same core message. This is the wealth pattern. You don't need more ideas, you need more distribution vehicles for the ideas you already have. Now let's talk about Alex Hormozi, because his story reveals something even more powerful. Hormozi recently generated over $80 million in book sales in 24 hours. But the financial explosion wasn't about the funnel. It wasn't about the sales page or the email sequence. It was about 5 years of free content strategy that positioned him as inevitable when the product launched. His system operated on 5 principles: give away secrets, prioritize volume over perfection, document, don't create, leverage who, not how, and play the long game. What's critical about Hormozi's approach is that he didn't spend 5 years perfecting single pieces of content. He spent 5 years distributing the same ideas in multiple formats across multiple channels. A single podcast episode became a blog post, tweet threads, email sequences, video clips, and carousel posts. Each format reached different audience segments and reinforced the same core message. By the time his book dropped, millions of people had already internalized his frameworks through fragmented exposures across different platforms. This is the wealth pattern I want you to understand. Omnipresence through content multiplication creates demand concentration at the point of sale. When you launch a product and millions of people feel like they already know you, already trust you, already believe your frameworks work, the transaction becomes frictionless. You're not selling. You're simply offering the next step to people who are ready. For entrepreneurs operating at Hormozi's scale, outsourcing the repurposing workflow to an AI-powered service is not an expense. It's a margin multiplier on the final transaction, and this is why the market for these services is exploding. Before we go further, I need you to do something. This is a brand new channel, and we're trying to reach 100 subscribers. If this content is giving you value, if you're seeing how this system could change your business or create a new income stream, hit that subscribe button right now. We would love 50 likes on this video. That tells YouTube to push this to more people who need to hear it. And drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I want to know if this message is reaching Tokyo, London, Sao Paulo, New York. Comment right now. Where are you watching from? This helps us understand our global reach. All right, let's keep moving. Because I want to show you the real-world case study that proves this business model works at scale. A founder named Ash M. launched a product called Repurpose Pie, and within 7 days, she hit $75,000 in annual recurring revenue. 7 days, that's not a typo. Here's how she did it. Ash noticed that Twitter creators generated high-quality content daily, but lacked the time or budget to convert those tweets into TikTok videos. Traditional freelance video editing cost hundreds per month. She built a minimum viable product that automated this transformation. Take a tweet, add AI-generated voiceover, apply templates, auto-post to multiple platforms. Simple, focused, high value. The launch strategy is instructive. Ash leveraged her following on social media, offered a 40% lifetime discount to the first 100 customers, and generated $5,000 in monthly recurring revenue within 72 hours. NetGuru She eventually scaled to $75,000 in annual recurring revenue within a week. The pricing model operated at $72,000 annually per major customer tier, with 50% gross margins initially. The business scaled because it solved a specific workflow problem: converting high-intent content from one platform into another format with near-total automation after initial setup. The technology stack mattered less than the outcome. Creators wanted consistency without effort. Repurpose Pi delivered that. The lesson here is profound. The business model proved that entrepreneurs valued their time highly enough to pay monthly recurring fees for automation. You're not selling software features. You're selling time back. You're selling omnipresence. You're selling the ability to compete with people who have 10-person content teams when you're a solo operator. Now let's talk numbers. Let's talk about what this market actually looks like in 2025, because the pricing bands reveal everything you need to know about customer psychology and willingness to pay. The market has crystallized into 3 clear tiers. Entry-level services range from $800 to $2,000 per month for basic podcast production and repurposing. Pod Squeeze. At the lowest end, tools like Pod Squeeze charge as little as $12 per month, offering 160 minutes of processing time, with the cost per episode dropping to around $1.55 for transcription and content generation. Pod Squeeze. This tier targets smaller podcasters and solo entrepreneurs who need basic infrastructure but lack budget for white-glove service. They get transcription, show notes, blog generation, and social media automation. It's commodity level, but it's still valuable for someone with zero budget. Mid-market services charge between $1,500 and $5,000 monthly. Agencies in this range repurpose 4 audio or video pieces monthly into comprehensive outputs like blogs, white papers, videos, and social graphics. Jake Jorgovan Content Allies. This tier targets coaches, consultants, and B2B thought leaders who generate 1 episode weekly and need polished SEO-optimized blog posts alongside social distribution. The value proposition shifts from "we'll handle the basics" to "we'll create lead magnets and establish thought leadership." Premium services operate at $40,000 to $100,000 or more for a full season, and some agencies even reach $100,000 to $250,000 annually for fully customized, strategic podcast production and repurposing. Lower Street. They're positioning themselves as de facto chief marketing officers for their clients, not just execution partners. This tier targets high-ticket B2B service providers and course creators for whom 10 to 15 qualified leads per month justifies the spend. The pricing asymmetry reveals the true wealth dynamic. The customer isn't paying for the work. They're paying for the outcome. Leads, authority, omnipresence. A $1,500 per month service generating 10 qualified leads per month has a customer acquisition cost of $150 per lead. If each lead closes at $500 or more, that justifies the spend. For consultants charging $5,000 to $20,000 per project, that's a 3 to 4 times return on investment on the service itself. The service provider's margin comes from systematizing the workflow so it doesn't require proportional human labor. And that's where the technology stack becomes your competitive advantage. Here's the actual workflow that makes this business model work. I'm going to walk you through the 1 hour to 30 pieces conversion step by step, because this is where theory becomes reality. Hour 0 to 10 minutes. Upload audio to Whisper or Descript for transcription. Tools in this category now offer automated transcription, and with clean audio, transcription completes within 5 minutes at 95% accuracy or higher. FizeWorld cost, 6 cents to 30 cents per episode. Negligible. Minutes 10 to 25. Use AI-powered clip-finding tools like Opus Clips to identify 15 to 25 moments worthy of short-form video. These systems automatically generate vertical clip versions with basic captions. FizeWorld cost, 50 cents to $2 in tool usage. Alternatively, if you want human review, it takes 10 to 15 minutes of labor to manually select clips from the transcript. Minutes 25 to 40. Apply branded templates to clips in CapCut or similar tools. This is largely automated after template setup, but 5 to 10 minutes of review ensures brand consistency. Generate 20 to 30 video files optimized for different platforms: TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn. FizeWorld cost, $0 to $1 in tool automation. 10 minutes of labor, minutes 40 to 50. Use ChatGPT or similar large language models to convert the transcript into blog posts, email sequences, and tweet threads. Prompt engineering is critical here. A well-written prompt yields 80% of the final output. Cost? 5 to 15 cents in API usage. 10 minutes of labor for prompt refinement and output review. Minutes 50 to 60. Schedule content across platforms using tools like Buffer or native platform scheduling. Set up the content calendar. Verify calls to action are aligned. Queue everything. Cost? $0. 10 minutes of labor. Total machine time? 5 minutes because transcription runs in parallel. Total human labor. 40 to 50 minutes. Total tool cost? $1 to $5. Output? 20 to 30 video files. 1 blog post of 1,500 to 2,500 words. 3 to 5 email sequences. 10 tweet threads. 5 viral hooks. 3 carousel scripts. 1 newsletter piece. This workflow is feasible, it's real. And if you're charging $150 to $300 per episode as a service provider, you're achieving 75% gross margins or higher while delivering genuine value. Value that would cost the customer $400 to $800 if they hired freelancers separately. Now, I want to pause here and tell you something critical. If you're serious about building wealth, if you're serious about escaping the time for money trap, the information I'm giving you right now is a blueprint, but information without implementation is worthless. So I need you to engage. Drop a comment right now and tell me, what's your biggest takeaway from this so far? Or tell me, what's your current challenge with content creation? Are you struggling to repurpose? Are you spending too much time on individual posts? Comment below. I read every single one, and your feedback shapes the next videos I create. All right, let's talk about why wealthy people actually buy this service. Because if you're going to build this business, or if you're going to use this system yourself, you need to understand the psychology. The Podcast to Content Factory model solves a specific problem for high net worth entrepreneurs. Omnipresence without additional creative labor. Let me explain what I mean. Nike has been using AI-powered content repurposing to transform long-form brand storytelling into bite-sized, platform-specific videos and social media posts, enabling them to optimize engagement across global markets. NetGuru. They're not doing this because they lack resources. They're doing this because even with unlimited budgets, you still face the constraint of creative decision-making time. The founder or the spokesperson only has so many hours to record. But once that recording exists, the multiplication should be automatic. Organizations are recognizing that AI-driven repurposing workflows can reduce content production costs by 50% or more. NetGuru. But for high net worth individuals, the value isn't cost savings. It's reach multiplication. It's the ability to be in 15 places at once without 15 times the effort. Consider Oprah. She built her media empire partly through her obsession with multi-platform distribution. Her approach was to never create content once. She extracted maximum value by converting each interview, each story, into blog posts, clips, email sequences, and branded video. She didn't do the repurposing work herself. Her team did. This allowed her to maintain omnipresence without becoming a full-time content operations manager. For modern entrepreneurs, outsourcing this function to an AI-powered service allows them to replicate Oprah's model without the 50-person production team. And that's the pitch. You're not selling editing. You're selling the Oprah infrastructure at a fraction of the cost. The attention economy has a scale problem. A podcast episode generating 100,000 downloads represents 100,000 opportunities for audience members to encounter a founder's framework. But if that episode only exists in one format, audio, only the subset willing to consume long-form audio experiences that content. By converting it to 30 pieces of content, optimized for different consumption preferences, short-form video, written summaries, social hooks, email sequences, the effective reach multiplies by 3 to 5 times. For entrepreneurs with paid products or high-ticket services, this reach multiplication directly translates to revenue multiplication. That's why they pay. That's why the market exists. Now let's talk about market validation, because I don't want you taking my word for any of this. I want you to see the proof. Agencies like Content Allies offer full-service podcast production, including strategy, guest booking, promotion, and repurposing, with pricing often ranging from $2,000 to $10,000 or more per month. Content Allies. They've worked with enterprise clients, building shows that generate hundreds of thousands of downloads in months. One case involved Meta's business engineering team, where Content Allies helped launch a podcast that reached over 170,000 downloads in 6 months, outperforming the original 4-month target by 700%. Content Allies Repurpose.io offers plans starting at $349 annually, with higher tiers for agencies and teams managing multiple clients. Repurpose.io. The fact that these tools have thousands of users demonstrates clear product-market fit. The market for podcast-adjacent services is enormous. According to industry data, 41% of marketing measures are vanity metrics, which is why agencies that provide real performance metrics, customized to specific goals like improved performance and average consumption rate, are in high demand. The podcast consultant clients don't want to hear their podcast is doing well. They want to know how many leads it generated, how many qualified sales conversations it started, how many people joined their email list because they saw a 30-second clip on LinkedIn. The agencies that track these downstream metrics build intelligence that free tools cannot match. This enables continuous improvement and positions the provider as a strategic partner, not an execution vendor. And strategic partners command premium pricing. So here's where we get to the wealth acceleration path. Because if you're watching this thinking, okay, William, I see the market, I see the demand. How do I actually build this into a real business? Let me map it out. Year 1, solo operator. 10 to 15 clients at $250 per episode. Assume each client publishes 2 episodes monthly. That's $5,000 per month, $60,000 to $90,000 annually. After tool costs, you're taking home $50,000 to $75,000. Not life-changing yet, but you've validated the model. You've built systems, you've created testimonials. Year 2. You hire 1 to 2 execution-level contractors, editors at $30 to $45 per hour, copywriters at similar rates. Now you can handle 25 to 30 clients. You're at $100,000 to $150,000 in annual recurring revenue with 70% gross margins. That's $70,000 to $105,000 in gross profit. You reinvest some of that into productization or white label partnerships. You take home $40,000 to $60,000 after contractor costs and reinvestment. But more importantly, you're building infrastructure, year 3 to 5. This is where it gets interesting. You have 2 paths. Path 1, transition to software as a service. You raise capital, you build a platform. You go after the venture-backed growth model. This is higher risk, but if you achieve product-market fit, you're looking at a $5 million to $50 million business. Path 2. You scale the agency model to $500,000 to $1 million in annual recurring revenue through white-label partnerships and team expansion. This path is lower risk, lower ceiling, but it's cash flow positive from year 2 onward. The wealth pattern isn't in individual transactions. It's in building a system that customers depend on and pay repeatedly, then scaling that system without proportional cost increases. This is precisely why billionaires like Oprah and Vaynerchuk obsess over content distribution infrastructure. It's the leverage mechanism that turns personal effort into scalable output. Now, let me address something that's probably going through your head right now. You're thinking, William, this sounds great, but what about competition? What about commoditization? If artificial intelligence can do 90% of this, why won't everyone just use the free tools and cut out the service provider? Great question, and the answer reveals why this business model is defensible. Workflow customization is the moat. While tools like Opus Clips and Descript are available to anyone, the differentiator is in workflow design. A service provider who builds templates aligned to client industry, SaaS versus coaching versus e-commerce, and creates custom hooks and calls to action. Specific to each client's offer builds switching costs. Generic tools are commodity. Customized workflow is defensible. Outcome reporting is the second moat. Agencies that track downstream metrics, leads generated from each content piece, conversion rates, engagement patterns, build intelligence that free tools cannot. This enables continuous improvement and positions the provider as a strategic partner. Human curation is the third moat. The final 10 to 20% of work, deciding which clips are genuinely viral-worthy, which blog sections need rewriting for clarity, which calls to action will resonate, still requires human judgment. Providers who build reputation for this judgment, proven by client case studies showing 50% or higher engagement rates on repurposed content, command premium pricing. Voice consistency coaching is the fourth moat. Wealthy content creators care deeply about personal brand consistency. Providers who help clients maintain voice tonality across multiple formats, ensuring the short-form clips don't feel generic or AI-generated, add significant value. These are not easily replicable. These require taste, experience, and client-specific knowledge. And that's why the service model survives even as the tools become more accessible. Now let me show you something that crystallizes where this market is heading. Andreessen Horowitz, one of the most prominent venture capital firms in the world, committed to hiring a podcast network lead at over $400,000 annual salary, specifically to build a network of independent hosts aligned with the firm's investment thesis. Content allies. Think about that. A venture capital firm, an organization built on identifying the highest return investments, decided that podcast infrastructure and content repurposing are core business functions, not marketing nice-to-haves. They're willing to invest substantially because the return on investment on narrative control and audience omnipresence justifies it. When you control the narrative in your industry, when your voice is the one people hear most frequently, you control deal flow. You control who reaches out to you. You control perception. The ultra-wealthy understand this. They view content repurposing not as a cost center, but as a strategic asset. And that creates the market you can serve. So here's where we bring this all together. Because I've given you the market data, I've shown you the case studies, I've walked you through the workflow. Now I want to talk about the mindset shift that separates people who implement this from people who just consume information. The wealthy operate on a simple principle: leverage. They don't trade time for money. They build systems that generate value repeatedly. The podcast-to-content factory model is a leverage system. 1 hour of recording generates 30 distribution vehicles. Those 30 pieces reach thousands or tens of thousands of people. Some percentage of those people become leads. Some percentage of leads become customers. The system compounds. If you're a creator, the question you need to ask yourself is this: am I treating my content as disposable, or am I treating it as an asset to be maximized? Every piece of content you create has latent value you're not extracting. Every podcast episode that exists only as audio is leaving money on the table. Every video that sits on YouTube without being atomized into clips for Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn is a missed opportunity. If you're an entrepreneur looking to build a business, the question is different. Are you solving a problem people will pay to avoid? The podcast-to-content factory model solves the omnipresence problem. It solves the time abundance problem. And people with money pay to solve problems that stand between them and their goals. Here's what I want you to do right now. If you found value in this video, if you're seeing how this system could change your approach to content or create a new revenue stream, smash that like button. Remember, we're aiming for 50 likes on this video. That tells the algorithm to push this to more people who need it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now. We're a new channel working toward 100 subscribers, and every single one matters. Then, and this is critical, take action. Don't let this be another video you watch and forget. If you're a content creator, go audit your last 10 pieces of content. How many formats did you repurpose them into? If the answer is 1 or 2, you're leaving value on the table. If you're an entrepreneur, go research 3 agencies in this space. Look at their pricing. Look at their service offerings. Identify the gap. Identify what they're missing. Then build it. The AI podcast-to-content factory is not a trend. It's a structural shift in how high-value individuals manage attention and distribution. The people who recognize this early, who build systems around it, who serve the market that desperately needs it, Those are the people who will build significant wealth over the next 5 years. This is William Vanderbilt. This is Premium Wealth Insights. The information you just received is worth more than most people pay for courses. Use it. Implement it. And I'll see you in the next video where we're going to dive even deeper into the systems the ultra-wealthy use to multiply their impact. Subscribe, comment where you're watching from, and let's build wealth together.